Welcome everyone. My name's Vida and this is Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast, a podcast where we discuss current news and developments happening in the cricket world with a special focus on Sri Lanka cricket. This is episode 4 of season 1 and I'm joined by my co-host Sohan. How are you doing, Bora?
Doing good, Vida. How have you been?
I'm good, Bora. Just came out of a lockdown. And guess what I did soon after we came out of the lockdown? I went to the cricket club and had a hit and a ball Thursday. I was struggling to get off the bed the next morning to go to work.
Yeah, all bones by the sounds of it. For us as well, similar. I think we've had a certain, we can train on our own. So that's a good sign. The next week or so, there'll be hopefully more easing up of restrictions, which mean we can probably train as a group within our teams. We are waiting for the news on that because cricket's around the corner as soon as the green lights are given.
Yeah. I heard you had a COVID scare. What happened?
Yeah, no, it's getting to be a norm. So I was, how do you say it, more close contact or being in a place. So I had to get myself tested and do the routine. So more time at home, but it's just part of routines now. Getting SMSs saying to isolate because of a scare or, so getting used to that.
We had a similar situation a couple of weeks back. My daughter's school was a tier 1 exposure site, so we had to get tested and isolate for a few days. And it's as you said, it's getting normal, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do we have lined up for today, Pura?
Interesting. Now, going around the circuit, a lot of it is around T20 cricket. IPL's about to kick off and will be in full swing. Around the world, we're talking about T20 cricket. The CPL just finished up. Chris Gale and Bravo brought home the chocolates for their franchise. We had a legend retire, a big name in Sri Lanka, Lasith Malinga. He came across on the social media circles through his channel that he retired. And we would like to discuss the lead up of T20 cricket, I was just hoping we can speak more about those stuff. But I think we have to touch base about Malinga, how much of a force that he has been for Sri Lanka.
We got a few things to discuss today. So before we get into that, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. So we had very good response from our gang of listeners about our last episode. Lots of feedback and thank you all for giving us motivation to keep doing this. Harin Fernando sent us an email suggesting a few things to improve our audio quality and maybe create our own jingle. So we're going to look into that and get our sound sorted because both of us are not professional podcasters. So we are doing this in our spare time. So bear with us. We'll get our sound sorted and maybe we can ask our fellow cricketer and DJ Ishan to make a jingle for us, Bora.
Oh, yeah. He'll be the person to go through. Just reading through or listening to you, Harin Fernando, not the sports minister Harin Fernando Vida?
I don't know. His name... Email said Harin Fernando, and I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
you never know. He might be listening in. But yeah, cricketers. There are a lot of personalities out there. DJ Ishan was a flamboyant opener back in the day. But keeps the house entertained with his music. Few Sri Lankan musicians out there and performers as well. As we said, with a lot of spare time for cricketers, interest in rooms, in tournaments or within groups. So a lot of talents come out.
Yes. I think we should start with Lasith Malinga and Bora.
Yeah.
I mean, my first meeting with Malinga was at NCC when this was way back early 2000s when we trained with under 19s. I mean, he's very different from the Malinga we see now with his flamboyant hair, this skinny kid with a regular haircut, but he definitely had raw pace back then as well, with his sharp bouncer and his yorker. I mean, he has come a long way from those days. Bora.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Malinga, the world knows his story. He's got a unique action, not the traditional methods of coming through the school system to the club setup. He was pretty much picked up or spotted whilst playing beach cricket. The reason behind him becoming his slingy action was playing on the beach, not being able to get, because you're playing on sand and more maybe smoother surfaces where the sand's ironed out, but to get the ball to skip through, it's you got to sling it through. So that was the uniqueness of his action, which was spotted at the time by Champaka Ramanayaka. And then we've seen Mahela Javadana in his Twitter handle say when he first met him at a Nets at goal, how it was hard to pick. There are a lot of stories around. I've seen Nasser Hussain talk about Lasith Malinga, let's go out about 45-degree angle. So he's letting go of the ball in where the umpire is. So
in
a
front
normal
of the umpire.
batsman, the normal batsman's eyes are used to a bowler releasing the ball, at around the 12, 11 o'clock mark. So if I get my hand up somewhere around there, and then suddenly the ball's coming at 45 out of nowhere. So we've seen a lot of batsmen struggle watching games that no one could pick him.
I have a funny story about Malinga, Mavan Atapattu, when I started playing for SSC, he was the captain, and we had a game against goal. And so at goal, and Mavan came to I think he drove from Colombo. We went there and stayed overnight, and he came, and we can see he's looking towards the home dressing room and trying to spot someone. Then someone asked me, Mavi, what are you looking at? And he goes, there's this guy who bowls from square arm. I couldn't sleep last night thinking about his bowling because I can't pick him. So he certainly made a very good first impression with everyone.
With everyone, exactly. He's a guy with a strong personality. He'll call a spade a spade. And I think in Sri Lanka, he's called a lot of people spades a spade. And then you've noticed some don't take it in a good way, some do. So a bit of controversy there, but leave that all aside. He leads the game on his own, He's played within strong teams of Sri Lanka, and he's led the charge for the teams a lot in one-day cricket and T20 cricket. As it transitioned to international cricket, he was a striking force for us. He would handle the death overs, and anyone who's played with him, Vida, you and I, we've played a few games with him at NCC whenever he was available, knows, in the international circuit as well, everyone who talks about Lasith Malinga tells that how much of a brain he is in terms of the game, strategy wise, or talking about cricket, how much of he brings into the table, what he knows about the game. He's always up for discussions. He'll want to talk it out, find out, okay, what's the reason you're doing, and find a solution. So that's something that was striking. And I think when he took charge of the world T20 side that we won in 2014, there was a plan that was talked about. Okay, what if we do it to a certain extent? Is something, I think, Vida, you probably know more from a fast bowling point of view. And, you've been in that mold of fast bowlers that came up with him. So you'll know more insight how he came about.
So, in Sri Lanka, we have this fast bowling academy where all the up and coming fast bowlers train, and, you go and bowl at the national team. And Mali and Kohli, those, in our age group, those two were like the batch top. They were
Sri Lankan
they were top
players.
of the class, right? We all had a healthy competition against each other, and we bounce off each other. We talked about our actions and about our variations, and all the time. Mali, he is someone who always focused on what he can control, right? He knew what his strengths are, and he made sure that he get those things perfect, right? And because when he first came out, he had a bouncer and a yorker. That's it. Then later he developed a very good length ball. He usually take it away from the right-handers. I saw him mentioning in a YouTube video as well. So he never tried to bowl an in-swinger to a right-hander because with his action, it's impossible.
Can't do it.
Yeah. But with the new ball, of course, with the old ball, he will reverse it in. It was easy.
Yes.
But with Mali's, his cricketing brain is unique. Bora. We always will play a game in the weekend, then we come for training on a Monday. We always ask each other how many wickets you've taken and all that. Then Mali, he'll tell only if you ask him, he'll say, I took a 6 for against NCC. Yeah, I hit Hashanti Lagaratna here. Or I hit Avishka on the head. All right. And then, he'll ask, how many wickets did you take? I'll say, I took 4. He goes, 4 is not like 5 for Vida. There's a massive difference. It's only 1 wicket, but the 5 is different, right? So whenever I get a 5, I'll go into Mali, took a 5, and he'll go, challenge is take another 5 for next weekend. Then only people lose their doubts about you. Here we are worrying about what's happening now. He's thinking future next month. So he has this unique cricketing brain which has helped him to achieve what he has achieved over the years. Bora.
Something I've noticed, like being part of the circuits, being part of training sessions with the camps, Lasith Malinga was a nightmare for the batsman. I think he never held anything back. You can name all the greats at the time going into the net. What Lasith Malinga wanted to practice off his bowling could be a short ball or a yorker. He's not going to hold it back. He gives it tight. And then, that's something which stood out for me. I've seen him put a lot of batsmen under trouble. Like, he trains for it like a match situation.
Especially if he's coming out of an injury, he's testing his knee or his back. I remember one time Khanda coming after a hit and he says, tell the selectors to get this guy into the squad. He's trying to kill us.
He's a unique character. I think around the world we've seen him. He came to Melbourne. He took wickets for the franchise in the Big Bash League. Mumbai Indians, he's done really well. Sri Lanka, it was nice of him. I've seen his farewell video on his YouTube channel. The more he sits back now, he'll reflect back on how of a great career he's had. I know there are controversies out of the cricketing field, but on the field, during playing, representing whichever team, and for us, especially, it was the national team. For us, he was a standout one. For me, I think I could go on to say he's the best T20 bowler the world has seen. 50-over cricket, probably you're fighting against a few greats like the greats of Wasim Akram, but nonetheless, he still made it, his own. So he might have edged out them as well. Look, with Lasith Malinga, since he took that 4 wickets, of 4 balls,
against South Africa,
he can do it again. He's striving for that. It's not the hat trick anymore. Now it's more what can I get the 4 for again, which he did. Now, that's the one that stands out for me. The confidence, he kind of knew where things were. So it's cricketers won't last every time on the field. There's a time everyone has to retire and move on from the game. Hopefully he'll be involved a lot more with Sri Lanka cricket and helping out the younger generation. I've seen that's his intent through the messages that are being given out in the media by himself. But it's a good sign if he does that, because he's got the brains. You'll always want to pick his brains when it comes to cricket.
Yeah, spot on there. For me, he's arguably the best white ball, fast bowler ever. But, different era, as you said, Wasim Akram, they didn't play together. So maybe different eras. But I think he still could have made the World Cup squad. But he hasn't played cricket for 12 to 18 months. So that didn't help his case. Because looking at our squad, we don't really have much experience in there. So, but it is what it is. And he still have a lot to offer to Sri Lanka cricket. So hopefully we'll make use of his unique cricket brain.
Yeah, hats off to Mali on a superb playing career. I think we'll have a beer to celebrate his career at some stage.
Yeah.
Moving on with that, I think we have to go through another journeyman in T20 cricket, similar to Mali. You
Oh.
got Dwayne Bravo and Chris Gale, who have won the CPL.
Mm.
Another few greats,
Yeah.
continue to be aging well.
Yeah. You know what CPL reminds me of, Bora?
Was that?
It reminds me of Mercantile cricket tournament in Sri Lanka, right?
Oh,
It just comes just before the one-day tournament of the first-class season. Almost all the first-class players play in that tournament, and it's a good warm-up for the main event. Like
yeah.
CPL is the warm-up for the main event, which is the IPL. When I see CPL, I always think, okay, they're ready for the big thing now. But
exactly.
You're right. Bravo's men won the CPL. It was a close game because they lost Chris Gale early and Bravo didn't get much and they were chasing, I think, 160. And Dominic Drakes got 48 runs in 24 balls. Dominic Drakes is the son of Vasper Drakes. Remember where I used to play tall fast ball. I used to play for West Indies in early 2000s.
I think he had a heavy chain around his neck.
Yes. Very, very fit guy. Dominic is his son. And so Chris Gale has played cricket with Vasper Drakes. Now he's playing cricket with his son. He's just
Chris Gale's the Roger Federer of cricket, by the way. That's good. I mean, CPL, there are a lot of domestic tournaments out there. Unfortunately, the Big Bash, I think, has dropped down the ladder. You got, the IPL stands out as the big tournament. The PSL has come through. CPL, Bangladesh Premier League are tournaments that seem to be the more in-demand tournaments. CPL stands out with the entertainment factor of the West Indies players around them. And now it's a good transition through. I think in England, T20 Blast is coming to an end there as well. As we speak, it's a semi-finals happening. And then the lead up will be through the IPL. A few news coming through the IPL is Virat Kohli has decided to let go of the T20 international captaincy.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that. I was thinking maybe he'll give up his RCB captaincy after this season, but I was surprised to see that. What are your thoughts on that, Bora?
I think it's a good thing for him with captaincy. International T20 captaincy, at least it's a short stint because Mahendra Singh Dhoni has captained India's charge in the T20 World Cup since 2007. So this will be Kohli's, I believe, first time captaincy of a T20 tournament. Or might be second. I might be wrong there, but he doesn't have the results to show. He doesn't have the results to show with his RCB team as well, where he's led them for a number of years, and the international circuit so far. So it'll only benefit Kohli as an individual player. I think he's feeling the pinch of that, not having the results to show. You've got his colleague Rohit Sharma winning titles for Mumbai Indians. He's building a strong case as a leader. He looks calm. They've got players around him. So it might be a good thing to let go of, and we might see him blossom as a player. IPL kicking off, something we'd like to talk about is the IPL's kicking off. It was suspended due to COVID. And when it stopped, Ricky Ponting's Delhi Capitals was on top of the ladder. So the IPL kicks off this Sunday with CSK taking on the Mumbai Indians. For us, for the Sri Lankan listeners out there, two of our boys, Vanidu and Dushmantha, are in the RCB camp. So they'll be fighting out for four. There's four slots for overseas players. So they'll be fighting out. There's a strong competition out there. So unfortunately, Vanidu hasn't been in the best of form with the bat. It might be a reason he has to sit out, because the four players that we talk about in the international spots will be filled by AB de Villiers, Glenn Maxwell, Chris Morris is there. Two new faces coming in, Tim David and George Carton. These are new names circulating in the circuit. Garton's a left-arm quick, making a name for himself, while Tim David is an Australian, but he's playing for Singapore.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be the first Singapore player to play in the IPL. He's a strong middle order bat who goes hard, so he can hit the boundaries. He's pushing him. He was very close to getting picked for Australia, but I think there's a eligibility criteria which kept him out. But his first stint in IPL, he's been all other circuit cricket he's played. He's made a strong name for himself, especially coming at number 6 with us, batting through the back end of the tournament. So
not the easiest.
Strong competition there. They'll want to see those guys first. So the Sri Lankan guys might be sitting out a few games. Talking about Sri Lanka cricket, we unfortunately lost the T20 series against South Africa. It was a poor showing. I think we were found out in a lot of departments, especially playing against spin. We didn't come on top there. I mean, we won the important 2 tosses in the 2 games, but batting-wise, we fell apart really fast. South Africa was chasing below par scores and they got home very easily. I mean, the third one we were hopelessly outplayed. Doesn't argue well going into the World Cup, but I think we can reset because we are playing Oman.
Practice games.
A few games up there. So hopefully we can recoup. Few injuries I've seen in the news. Lahiru Madhusanka, unfortunate, did his collarbone, so they'll have to find a replacement for him. Kusal Janit, they'll try to monitor, leave it as late as possible. I'm not sure. I think he's ruled out, but they'll see if he can come back in time. They might keep him under observation to see if he's possible.
Yes, spot on. I think we didn't turn up for this T20 series, Bora.
Yeah.
We fought hard for that one-day series and managed to win it. And I think we didn't turn up. We were completely outplayed in all 3 games. Batting was a big disappointment for me. I don't know whether we are using our all-rounders who are in form enough. Even when bowling, I didn't see Charmika bowling enough overs into my liking. As you said, I would like to see Wanidu come up the order and try to bat against the spinners. It's good that we have few practice matches to try few combinations before the World Cup. Otherwise, as we discussed in the last episode, we struggle when it comes to experience in this squad. We don't have many players who have played enough T20 internationals. So we'll have to get used to the pitches as quick as possible and sort our team before we go into the World Cup.
I mean, I've read in the news, even till October, you can change the squad. So if we are selecting for someone out of this mix, Angelo Matthews is a standout player for me, especially to that number 4, number 5 slot. Wanidu Hasaranga, yes, we want to see him come up the order purely. I mean, for him batting at number 7, to get him to be useful at number 7, he should be batting through the back end of the over, so from the 14th, 15th over onwards, and with a good total in hand. That's the perfect scenario, but our batsmen have been found wanting, especially in the number 3, 4, and 5 slots, which meant the whole batting orders under pressure. We don't have a lot of players to pick from. This is the combined players we have available. They've just got to, I mean, their T20 records are not, how do I say, not good numbers to show. It's raw, but also, Avishka Fernando, we rely a lot on him, but he's got a poor T20 record so far. But still, we will be relying on him because the pure fact that we don't have any other batsmen, and we want to see him transition his one-day form into T20 cricket. And with the charge, we've got to find a combination of batters. You raised a good point, DDS, Asalanka, Chandimal, can all three of them play in the same team? Probably not. So we just got to make the composition very quickly. We got to get back and find out what's a winning formula for us. Something to think about. We are heading into, the qualifying stages. We've got, against Netherlands, you got Ryan Tenders-Carter, Van der Merwe, the left armer. Those are seasoned T20 players.
Yeah.
So we've got to be able to contain them. If not, they might take the game away from us. Similar to David Weezy, he's playing for Namibia. Ireland's got a strong set of players. Ireland's got Singh. I've seen he's an off spinner, and we've got a heavy left-hand batting base through the middle. Yeah. So can we have the player matchups right? Because if we have Panuka, Charita Salanka, Kusal Jani, that's our top, middle order batting through. We might have to tinker the combinations a bit more because we've got a slow earmark. We're playing in the UAE, might be spin friendly. If we progress further, one more thing to analyze would be even playing the West Indies. That's a strong left-hand batting group. So we've got a lot of right-hand fast bowlers. Can that match up? Contain them, or do we have a good off spinner in this team? If not, even the likes like Vanidu need a bit more coverage. So those are questions I think the coaching crew has to go through, analyze, and find some solutions.
Looking at the World Cricket Bora, I think we are seeing a theme of cancelling tours happening. First, it was India cancelling the last test match in England. Now New Zealand deciding to leave Pakistan, citing security fears.
Yeah, I've read that, and yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing. A lot of abandoned games happening, but when it comes to fear of safety, I can imagine what the camp would have been going through. Sri Lanka, we've as a team had a really bad experience. A lot of our fellow players went through that ordeal of being in an ambush attack. There are a lot, you've heard so many stories. Some we laugh about at the moment, but because we were lucky there were no casualties, no people going down, but it was a scary situation for those players. So in the news you see a lot of disheartened Pakistan supporters as well as the authorities, but the New Zealand government was involved in this. They would have had information passed on saying, look, there is a risk involved here. Just be, we're not willing to take that risk. They would have made the decision. All right, they would have tried their best. Okay, let's go out there to the country, see it, but then would have come to a situation where the think tanks would have said, look, I think it's getting too risky, we'll have to pull out of this tournament. Go ahead.
Early, I think first it was 1987 in New Zealand cancelled a tour of Sri Lanka, but then again early 90s they were going to cancel it, but they decided to stay back. Some of the players went back, but they had some players coming and they kept playing, so they had their fair share of security threats over the years. As you said, like I'm sure they had, they have analyzed this in every angle and decided not to go ahead. It's very sad for Pakistan cricket because I read out what Ramis Raja has said. Walking out of the tour by taking a unilateral approach on a security threat is very frustrating, especially when it's not shared. And which world is New Zealand living in? New Zealand hear us at ICC, so that's states they're not happy.
Statement. They're not happy. But Ramis Raja's first stint, he's just become the big shot in Pakistan cricket, and now but New Zealand would have given it a lot of thought. The best thing they've done is, if there is an element of doubt that there is a risk involved to the safety of players and the staff involved, I think they've made the right decision, because if there's element of risk, there could be another scenario of what happened to Sri Lanka happening out there. And there's going to be a lot of heads that would have asked, okay, why did this tour go ahead, especially with what has been going around? Or if you heard any news of a risk of a potential attack, why did you hang around? So I think where sensible proceedings took place, I think they're disappointing because it does affect a lot of Pakistan's home series in the future, because more teams are gonna be hesitant. They'll need more security or a sense of safety in coverage, going into a tournament.
England was supposed to tour Pakistan, and Australia, they were supposed to travel there in March 2022. So it will be interesting to see where they'll stand with these new developments. So it's very sad for Pakistan cricket fans.
In the Kiwi camp, you got certain Sri Lankan player who had a bad experience up there, Thilan Samarir. I think he's part of the coaching mix as a batting consultant. So I'm sure, him going out there to tour would have lots of courage to go out there. He would have been confident of the setup, but if the authorities felt, okay, hang on, things are not safe, think wise. Imagine what Thilan would have been going through if he knew.
I know.
Look, guys, there is a risk involved. We are still playing this tournament, but you guys are under the risk of an imminent, threat. He would have been pretty nervous. So unfortunate, but sometimes it's done because it might have been a worse scenario out there.
I remember when the Sri Lankan team bus got attacked in Pakistan. We were playing a mercantile game at Pisara Stadium, and we got the news and we stopped the match. What we heard from was Thilan was injured and Para was injured, and I played cricket, a lot of cricket with Para, and he was my roommate in most of the tours, and I felt sick to my stomach. It's easy to blame players and the supporting staff, but these are things you can't control. So when someone advises you to go home, you had to take that advice.
I think it's a fair call. I think it's a massive setback for Pakistan. In the news, you've been reading so into it with a lot of players calling out crickets. It's a drop for Pakistan cricket. I've seen a lot of support shown, a lot of Sri Lankan support coming in the media as well, which is a good sign. Sharing the good experiences that they had. Going into Pakistan in a very secure and safe environment. But a lot of things have changed in this period.
That's right.
We've seen neighboring country of Afghanistan, things changing. And that has a massive effect on the environment out there in Pakistan. So a lot of things have changed within this period. But it's good to show support that if they have control of it, they're happy to travel there. But even Sri Lanka traveling to Pakistan, there was a lot of reluctance. They had a lot of players who were hesitant,
pulling out.
Pulled out, which was again the right call. I know some feel disappointed that it's not happening, but from a player's point of view, I think it's right.
I think we're coming to the end of this episode 4, and we covered a lot of things, especially we talked a lot about our legend Lasith Malinga. Next week we have a lot to talk about because the IPL is starting. And
thank you for joining us with another episode of the Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast. We would like you to subscribe to this podcast. We are on Apple, Google, Spotify, and all other leading podcast providers. We'll be able to listen to the latest episode as soon as it is released.
Bora and I are both active on Twitter. Give us a follow on Twitter and follow us on our socials. We are on Instagram as well and YouTube. And if you like to send us feedback, suggest a guest, or ask any questions, connect us via Twitter, or you can connect us via our Facebook community page as well. So we will add all these links in our show notes.
We really appreciate if you can leave us a quick review on the podcast that you're listening to. 5-star ratings get us up the ladder, the top of the ranks. And please do share some more feedback for us to improve as well.
And thanks again. We'll see you next week.
Cheers, guys.